Good afternoon. I really should just say cheers, everyone. Did you get that? Come on. Yeah? It was on you to bring the alcohol. Jeez. Look, I know, why didn't we think of that? Okay, so this is an exciting moment. In all seriousness, this is an exciting moment as we ceremonially sign into law a bill that will bring more equity, more opportunity, and more fun to neighborhoods of our great capital city. This legislation is a result of much hard work and collaboration over several years by so many outstanding leaders, some of whom are here with us today. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who was once upon a time a city councilor advocating for this. You championed this cause and moved the ball forward. To Senate President Karen Spilka, thank you. The Boston State delegation, who got this bill done during a very busy legislative session. Senator Liz Miranda, Rep. Chris Worrell, Senator Will Brownsberger, Senator Nick Collins, Representative Dan Ryan, Representative John Moran, Representative Bill McGregor. Terrific, great to be among you. To our colleagues in the capital city government, beginning with our great mayor, Mayor Michelle Wu. City Council President Lucy Lucien, Councilor Brian Worrell, and the Boston City Council that passed the Home Rule petition to start this process off. We're also joined by many leaders in the business community who champion equity. Tanisha Sullivan of the Boston NAACP, who serves as chair of our Black Empowerment Advisory Council. Nicole Obi from BECMA. Jim Rooney of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, Stephen Clark of the Mass Restaurant Association, Royal Smith of the Boston Black Hospitality Coalition, Nick Korn of Offsite, and all of our wonderful diverse restaurants and small businesses represented here today by Frank Poindexter of Wally's, a place I used to go to in law school, Nia Grace of Grace by Nia and Daryl's. So many more. Thank you to the teams, the staff, legislative staff in particular, who worked so hard to get this done. And I just want to say this is a win for Boston. It's a win for Massachusetts. It's a win for Boston. It's proof once again that we're working together, that we're moving forward, that we're getting stuff done, whether on tax cuts, housing investments, veterans legislation. Shout out to Secretary Santiago, once upon a time a member of the Boston delegation. For early education, we are making historic progress. Today, we increase our competitiveness and improve our business environment by unlocking more equity in local communities. We enable more diverse businesses in more diverse communities to invest locally and to thrive. Neighborhood restaurants, we know, are the backbone of main streets and destinations all across this great state. Business owners in Boston, especially business owners of color, are entitled to the same opportunity to provide the service that neighbors, customers, residents are looking for, and the opportunity to grow wealth in their communities. This legislation also has the benefit of supporting local nonprofits, our theaters, our outdoor spaces, entertainment spaces, recognizing, as we do, thanks so much to the LG's leadership, that hospitality, entertainment, culture, economic development, all of this stuff goes hand in hand. So it's a win for Boston, win for Massachusetts. I'm grateful again to the advocates, particularly the small business owners, and the champions of equity in our economy. And I'm grateful to the leaders today who helped make that happen. And with that, I welcome our Senate President, Karen Spilka.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor. It's wonderful to see all of you and all those behind me as well. I'd like to acknowledge Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for all the terrific things you continue to do to help make Massachusetts more competitive in all of the areas, all of the sectors. It doesn't matter. I believe Massachusetts, with the leadership of the governor, lieutenant governor, and all the legislators and folks here, we are number one in so many different areas, and we keep moving forward and making progress, and thank you so much for all that you are doing. We couldn't clearly do it without the governor and lieutenant governor. It's great seeing Congresswoman Presley, Mayor Wu, City Council President Louis-June, members of the City Council who are here, all my colleagues in the House and Senate, all of you that worked hard on this and so many other areas, all of the business community that's represented here. I'll spare you, I won't repeat everybody, but it just shows how important this whole issue is, not only to Boston, but to Massachusetts, by all of the people that are here. And I want to say that this one was important to get it done. This was really important. Restaurant, as acknowledged, are the hubs of our community. People congregate, they talk, they really help grow and solidify the fabric of our communities and the hubs of our communities. And for far too long, they have been systematically pushed to wealthier areas of Boston and to owners who could afford the liquor licenses. This is a strong step in the right direction to bring equity to every single neighborhood in the city of Boston. And I want to credit Senator Miranda for proposing this legislation in the Senate. And for being a driving force, but certainly having the support of the entire Boston Senate delegation that I heard from very frequently, by the way. None of them are shy. Senators Brownsberger, Collins, Rush, DiDomenico, and Senator Edwards. All of you and the House members, thank you for your unwavering advocacy for this bill and for always the unwavering advocacy for your communities. I look forward to coming to Boston and going to the different neighborhoods and toasting to all of you. Thank you. And that. Okay, should I bring up? And
Yes,
now.
but you know what I did? I can't believe I did this. I overlooked former city councilor, my former city councilor, and your colleague, Senator Lydia Edwards, who's also here with us today. Thank you, Senator. Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. And now I would like to bring up Congresswoman Presley.
Governor, I have to say that you know, because there are so many people here today, it's easy to have oversights. And if there are any more, know that it's an error of the head and not the heart. But I would say that it is incredibly heartening that there are so many people here. This was not always the case on this issue. Many people saw this as a third rail issue. There were a lot of people that were happy with an unjust status quo. 10 years ago, when I was an at-large Boston City Councilor and chair of the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, making the case that walkable amenities, that restaurants had something to do with healthy communities, that it was about public health and public safety, social and economic mobility, these critical anchors. And so to stand here today, President Spilka, I have to say, it feels good to be in the Massachusetts 7th. It feels good to be home. It feels good to be in Boston as we celebrate the signing of game-changing legislation to reform our archaic liquor license laws, to give our restaurateurs and our communities a chance to enjoy an equity and opportunity to build community and to build wealth. It never gets old. I feel just as hopeful as I did 10 years ago when we were here with Governor Deval Patrick when we signed the Economic Development Bill that included our first bite at reforming this antiquated, unjust liquor licensing system. Governor Patrick signed that after we had worked for 4.5 years with 2 mayors. Mayor Menino, this was the last action on his desk. Mayor Menino and Mayor Walsh. So if we can just acknowledge both of those mayors and Governor Patrick. I was proud to lead that effort as an at-large Boston City Councilor, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to celebrate with Governor Healey as we take the next step towards economic justice for all of Boston's neighborhoods. Are you tired of making history yet? You keep doing it. Okay. The legislators in this room, Councilor Brian Worrell, Representative Chris Worrell, State Senator Liz Miranda, when I say that they have poured their blood, sweat, and legislative capital into making today a reality, it was not easy. But this is a glorious day. It is so rare as a lawmaker when you plant a seed that you can see it bear its fruit in your lifetime. So this is an incredible, incredible day. When I first raised this issue a decade ago, we knew that reforming a century-old system designed to strip Boston of the flexibility to raise or lower the cap on liquor licenses was a long, difficult, and politically risky process. But we showed what was possible when we bring together a diverse coalition of existing and aspiring restaurateurs, economic justice advocates, and community members who recognize the need to disrupt an unjust status quo and address the disparity in neighborhood sit-down restaurants. I am proud of the cultural and economic impact that our liquor license reform has had since passing in 2014. The impact has been undeniable in the restaurants that have been able to open, remain open, and become staples of their respective neighborhoods, and for the entrepreneurs and workers who have found opportunities that were previously closed to them. And take it from me, there is simply no better feeling than traveling this incredible city from Hyde Park to East Boston, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, Roxbury, seeing the fruits of that labor in new neighborhood restaurants. Restaurants are the economic, social, and cultural anchors of our streets. They incentivize foot traffic. They feed our bodies and our souls. They create space for us to celebrate and to grieve the milestones of life. And the folks up here know that every single Bostonian deserves the chance to do that in the community they call home. 10 years ago, I was hopeful that our liquor license reform would set a new floor for future reform, as we saw today. It is a joy to celebrate this new legislation, which gives us the chance to realize that fundamental idea that this city and all its blessings belong to all of us. And now we know that even a historic day like today is not a magic wand. We're all committed to putting in the work to make sure this game-changing legislation has the transformative and equitable impact we all know it can. So while we continue to do the work to break down barriers to entry like disparate access to capital, the shortage of built-out commercial space for restaurants in our communities, the importance of today cannot be underestimated or understated. So let's raise a figurative drink to today's achievement, roll up our sleeves tomorrow to actualize the potential of this game-changing legislation. And with that, I'm proud to introduce my sister in service who speaks the same love language that I do, policy. Lead of this historic piece of legislation, State Senator Liz Miranda.
This is a beautiful day. And before I begin my remarks, there's a couple other restaurateurs and owners that are in the audience. I know you might came a little late, but please stand behind us. I don't want to call names. Y'all know I know who you are, but stand to the left and right because this is what the face of Boston ownership looks like. It's diverse, it's Cape Verdean, it's Dominican, it's Haitian, it's Black American, it's white American, and this is the reflective of the city that I was born and raised in. I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you. And believe me, this building doesn't look like this often, so let's take all the pictures, geez, that we can. I want to sincerely thank my Congresswoman for the introduction and for being here today. It's a special day when your Congresswoman pulls up to the State House. And she's championed this reform for our liquor license system for so many years prior to us even serving in our roles today. And that was the runway that we took to get here. And we're immensely grateful for you. I want to uplift and thank Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll. I don't know about y'all, but it's so exciting to have a tag team. It's all women, pro-women, for their commitment and celebration in signing this important bill. Let's give them another round of applause. I want to thank Senate President Spilka for prioritizing this home rule petition. I want to uplift and thank the mayor. And to your team, I see Chief Shagun in the building. I see the small business team and the licensing team and the Boston City Council members. We cannot do this without you. I see City Council President, Madam President Lujan, and also Brian Worrell cannot be with us, District 4. Oh, he's here? Where's he? What up, B? No, sorry. Good to see you. And all my colleagues, Senator Edwards, Rep. John Moran, Councilor Durkin, and Councilor Coletta, that I think are both all here. This is a trifecta. You can't do anything in a home rule petition without City Council support and the mayor, and you can't do anything without the House and the Senate. And so it's important that we're all here today supporting that. And to the conferees, Rep. Mike Moran and our own Senator William Brownsberger, who definitely got this across the finish line. If you could give them all a round of applause. I want to thank all the residents of our great city and the small businesses who are in the audience today, or even members that own businesses in other cities that hope to come to Boston, who helped to make today possible with all the hope, heart, and hustle that it's taken you to start your own businesses. We are proud that the entire Boston delegation championed this bill, and I want to thank everyone for their support to bring it to the finish line. And certainly uplift the Black Boston Hospitality Coalition and Nick Horn of Offsite, who partnered with us from the beginning. I remember that day that Nick presented all this data, and I thought I knew Roxbury, but I guess I didn't. And what he provided to me and to all my colleagues was this statement about equity, how a street like Blue Hill Avenue that's entirely in my district, that's 4 miles long, had a handful of licenses, and Newberry Street, which I frequent both of those streets, it was a mile long and had over 15 licenses. That isn't equitable. And that one dramatic sort of sight, if you close your eyes, was one of the reasons why I went so hard for this bill, because I'd like my Blue Hill Ave to look like Newberry Street one day. That's right. This bill is vital in restoring our community's restaurant and nightlife industry, as you heard, essential in expanding our gathering spaces and restoring our culinary talent, who for years has sought opportunities in other cities because there are so many barriers within ours. Black-owned restaurants in our district hold a significant place in history. Dating back before the Civil Rights Movement, think about Wally's and Hi-Hat. Think about the artists like Louis Armstrong, who shared their brilliance with us but couldn't even stay at the hotels they performed in. Along with churches and barbershops, Black-owned restaurants were one of the few places where it was safe for activists to meet and to plan and eat a good meal, and they often were fed and sheltered for free. Black-owned restaurants have been operating in Boston since the 1800s. Maybe some of you guys don't know, we've been here since the 1637 to be exact. They've been our community's cultural hubs, organizing spaces, our sanctuaries. They have not rebounded from the COVID-19 pandemic, and many are still struggling to keep their doors open without these licenses. So this is about economic development to grow our whole city, brick by brick, block by block, and neighborhood by neighborhood. Enabling our current and prospective small business owners to secure these neighborhood restricted liquor licenses will not only help us do that, but it'll help us tackle the pervasive racial and gendered wealth gap that is actually growing. Restaurants and neighborhood gathering spaces are critical when you have a thriving, healthy community, as our Congresswoman has shared. They've been essential in circulating the dollar spent in our community to maintain and be and remain in our communities. But make no mistake, this bill is more than just about liquor licenses and restaurants. It's about not being excluded in our own city, because we belong everywhere. and in every industry and in every neighborhood in the city of Boston. And we desire and are working together to operate and create a city where any resident with a dream and stake in our community can open, can operate, and can maintain a successful restaurant. And I hope these licenses will serve as this great equalizer. This is about dreams becoming reality and revitalizing forgotten neighborhoods. I cannot wait for the day when we can drive down Blue Hill Avenue and I can pull over and stay a while. Well, I don't drive, but my friends can pull over. For those 4 miles and get some polvo and punch, to get some griot and legume with some babancu, to get red snapper and a red stripe, and some mofongo and brugal. That is the city that I want to live in. That is the city that I want to represent. And now I'm so pleased to introduce the House Filer, my friend, and the great state rep of the 5th Suffolk District, Brother Chris Worrell.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't even drink, but I'm so excited about this bill. So I'm going to make a toast. First, I would like to thank, when you're very proud of something, you take ownership of it. So I want to thank my governor and my lieutenant governor. And I also want to thank my mayor, Michelle Wu, Speaker Ronald Mariano, Senate President Karen Spilka, Chair Aaron Mikowitz, Leader Mike Moran, Chair Taki Chan, and my senator, Senator Liz Miranda. Again, here goes that word, my again. As well as my favorite Boston City Councilor, Brian Worrell, for taking this idea and actualizing it in the city of Boston. I think it's evident by the amount of people who contribute to this passage. We are strongest when we work together. This historic partnership between the state and the city is a relationship that my brother and I are committed to cultivating throughout our tenures in this role. I also want to take a thank you to our fierce advocates on this bill, Nick Korn and Royal Smith. I also want to thank Black Boston's Hospitality Coalition, Massachusetts Restaurant United, Massachusetts Restaurant Association, and everyone who came and testified in support of this bill. The last Boston liquor license bill was led by my Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley. Boston's first Black city councilor, she not only paved the way for today's bill, but had a vision and a courage to create it. Thank you, Congresswoman Pressley, for inspiring me. For inspiring me to stand up for what is right. I cannot overstate my pride as a first-term representative and the House champion of this bill. When I've learned about the stark data-driven differences in liquor license ownership, it took me back to 18-year-old me, the culinary arts major at Bunker Hill, whose dream was to open up a restaurant of my own. It made me also think of Helder and Lillian Brandao, who isn't able to open their second restaurant because of the lack of essential liquor license. It also made me recall Mark Reed, the executive chef at Hummingbird Jamaican Cuisine in Dorchester, who can't afford $600,000 for a liquor license. But it reminds me of Bipla and Quasi from Comfort Kitchen in Dorchester, whose dream was to change the perception of immigrant foods. Now, James Beard nominated restaurant in my district has been able to flourish with a liquor license. Chances are not guaranteed where I'm from. Yes, I'm from Boston, but I'm also from Dorchester. And the people behind me are from Roxbury, Mattapan, Hyde Park, and East Boston, and throughout our great city, Boston. Neighborhoods only a few miles away from here, but it feels worlds apart. A lot of people don't even think there's black and brown people here in the city of Boston. And when I look around, all I can say, look at us now. We fought for a chance, and we've been given it. Now is not the time to rest on your laurels. It is the time to take a chance, dig in, foster our entrepreneurial spirit, and help recreate the thriving black and brown entertainment district that once brought us all together. These licenses are a large part of initiative to spark economic growth from Blue Hill Ave to Bennington Street. If you don't know where Bennington Street is, that's East Boston, okay? It's a crucial element of the black and brown empowerment agenda that I've been working on since I was elected. It's what it will create hundreds of jobs and opportunity for generational wealth right here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. 1 year ago, my constituent, Yvonne Desmond, waited 5 hours. She's right there. Give it up for Yvonne. She waited 5 hours to testify in support of this bill. Yvonne is a lifelong Roxbury resident and a 7th-generation Bostonian. She doesn't have a house to host friends. She has a house, but she doesn't want to host the friends in. I just wanted to get that clear. A car to get around the city, or time to take 3 buses and a train to get to the seaport. She would like to get together with her friends in her neighborhood and enjoy life in the city that raised her. Now that the passage of this bill, Yvonne, your dreams have came true. This bill is a chance maker, a community creator, a wealth generator, and above all, a license to succeed right here in the city of Boston. So, to all the hungry entrepreneurs, I told you I don't drink, but we're gonna have a toast. Cheers to success. I would now like to introduce a leader who has never shied away from a hard fight worth fighting for, my mayor, Michelle Wu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Another round of applause for our incredible reps. Thank you for all that you do. I also can't drink for 14 more weeks, but I'm counting that down every day. And I'm very, very excited to be able to have that first toast at one of the new restaurants that will be open thanks to these 225 tickets to opportunity that have been created by this incredible coalition. So I won't be able to get everyone, but I do want to double down because there are so many people to thank here, starting from our trailblazers back in the day, in addition to the amazing then counselor, now Congresswoman. We also have a couple of former city councilors in the House. We have the chair of our Commission on Black Men and Boys, Tito Jackson. And the counselors who have carried that torch forward today. Thank you, Councilor Brian Worrell, Madam President Ruthie Lujan, who filed this, championed it, and to Councilor Durkin and Coletta Zapata, who are here and helped move that through, along with all their colleagues. Thank you to Representative Worrell, Senator Miranda for taking this up and fighting for it up here at the State House, Senate President Spilka, House Speaker Mariano, Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, the leaders on each of the chambers who also made sure to draw the full resources of both chambers to this, Leader Moran, Senator Brownsberger. Thank you to everyone who had a hand in this building, in City Hall, and most especially, where's Mike? Mike Ross, former city councilor, is here as well. It's a special club, all of us former councilors. Nice to see you. And especially thank you to all of those in our communities, whether you were toiling away, making sure that your new business would be able to thrive and dreaming of the day when you could expand and have the opportunity to have this liquor license double or even exponentially increase sales, or if you're an entrepreneur dreaming of building that business, or a community member who's going to throw a lot of parties, it seems, with him on at the restaurants. Boston is a historic city. We are blessed with deep roots and a rich heritage, communities and traditions that have made Boston home for centuries. Our history is a source of strength for our city, but it also sometimes means that we can face unique challenges in navigating systems that have been handed down for generations. The liquor license system is one of those. And you can look around our city in all the ways that all of the speakers have pointed to understand the inequities that have been perpetuated and continue that we are looking to start to untangle with this reform and this legislation today. For the first time in a decade, Boston is receiving a significant infusion of these new licenses. This will make it easier for chefs, entrepreneurs, and business owners to create the kinds of spaces that make our city feel like home. We're fighting every day for Boston to be that home for everyone. That's housing that's affordable, safe, beautiful, and healthy, but it's also the spaces where people go to feel at home, to feel welcome, to have fun, to get to know their community members, where they know your order by heart, you have that table that's yours in the corner, where you're gathering with colleagues to brainstorm new solutions or unwind after a long day. These are the kinds of spaces where the idea of our democracy first took hold and where the push to perfect it continues day by day. These aren't just spaces that drive economic vitality. They're the places that tether us to community and weave together the connections that make Boston who we are. And with this bill in particular, the focus on equity and creating opportunity for community anchors in the very neighborhoods that have been underrepresented when it comes to economic opportunity is going to make all the difference in the world. So I want to thank again all those who have gotten this legislation to this point. And now at the city, we now know the responsibility is on us. So at this point, I want to give the biggest thanks because there's already been so much legwork that's been put into preparing for this moment by our Chief of Economic Opportunity Inclusion, Shagun Idowu. By our Director of Small Business, Alicia Porcena. Director of Nightlife Economy, Corrine Reynolds. Chair of the Licensing Board, Kathleen Joyce. We have already hosted a public webinar on September 30th, and that attracted 150 interested stakeholders to walk through where the city will be taking this. And in partnership with Main Streets, our Office of Small Business will be hosting 4 in-person information sessions across the city to discuss what resources are available to those entrepreneurs interested in applying for a license. Our licensing board will also be hosting a webinar in partnership with the Mass Restaurant Association and the Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission to go over the application process next Tuesday, October 15th from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. And the licensing board will also be hosting open office hours for anyone who's interested and has questions about the process every other Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. at City Hall starting next Wednesday. So I had to insert the business into this because we are getting to work getting these out the door. I also want to mention that thanks to this incredible team, we've been thinking about the process very intentionally as well, right? The legislation gives us the starting point with clear directions about what the intention was for equity and for economic opportunity and vitality. But in how the licenses are distributed and how the applications will be reviewed thoughtfully, fairly, but with a rubric that's consistent across the board to meet the goals of this legislation, we will also be making sure that we're putting a little bit of extra thought into how we're doing outreach and also how we're evaluating these applications. So thank you. So we're so thankful to everyone for making this possible. We're so excited to work with you and see this blossom within community. And now, maybe the most important speaker is someone who has lived what it means to be a restaurant owner, who has created jobs and opportunity and vitality, and then who has taken that and grown a coalition, co-founder of the Boston Black Hospitality Coalition, Royal Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. Good afternoon. My name is Royal Smith. I'm the owner of District 7 Tavern and the co-founder of the Boston Black Hospitality Coalition. Alongside, I'm joined here with Nick Korn of Offsite. I want to thank Governor Healey and her administration on their commitment to growing an inclusive economy across Massachusetts, where our businesses, especially our small neighborhood businesses, can thrive because we are the economic backbone of our community. I also want to thank the mayor, Boston City Council, and the state legislature, along with its leadership to getting this done. You cut through the noise and did something really good for small businesses. And in the process, your help addressing the racial disparities in access. Finally, I want to thank the NAACP Boston branch and Nick Korn. In 2021, Nick came to the NAACP branch with data showing the stark disparities in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan, and asked us if we would work with him to address the issue. The branch said yes. I want to thank Tanisha Sullivan for connecting me with Nick and trusting me to lead this effort over the past couple of years. Quick 30 seconds.
My mom taught me always be ready, just in case someone asks you to speak. First off, I just want to say I'm so honored to be here surrounded by so many people that I've looked up to for so long and many of whom I've voted for. See, the thing is, this bill isn't for large corporations, the conglomerates or the chains whose lobbyists frequent these halls. This bill is for the micro business owners, some of whom are here today and some of whom aren't, because they're doing everything they can to ensure that their businesses succeed. Right now, they're reprinting menus or running pre-meal, prepping garnish or fixing a surprise plumbing problem. These are our peers, our friends, our teachers, our community, and it's for them that Royal and I have repeatedly come to this building and another one down the street to meet with you and to share their words. So I leave you with a quote, not from a scholar or a politician, but from a restaurant operator here in Boston. A liquor license isn't a golden ticket. It's an opportunity to work harder. So I ask you, Royal, you ready to work?
Ready to work. We got it done for our communities, not just Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. And I hope other cities will follow in this model. This is how change should happen from the bottom up. Again, thank you, Governor.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to sign the bill.